Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. It's the breakdown where we break things down. The season is a week away. It's very exciting. Cardiff City, it feels like I've had a really positive pre-season on a lot of different fronts. We're going to talk about some of those things right now. There's some very interesting goings on at the moment. But first of all, if you haven't already, part 1 and part 2 with the interview with Craig Bellamy is out over on Ace Podcast Nation. So after this show, if you please go watch it, please leave a comment because it really helps us out a lot. Leave comments on there, and also just give it a share. Like I can't say like how important it is for that. Like a comment, all these different things. Even if you watch it in bits and you kind of watch a bit, go back and watch the rest. Like leave a comment, share it, all that good stuff. Obviously, was a big opportunity for us to be able for myself to be able to sit down with the new Wales manager. It was a lot of fun, and it was really interesting. And obviously, like I can't say how much positivity there was in the air that night. Like Craig spoke so well about his plans for the job and things like this. Like it was super exciting. So please do go and have a look. Drop a like, drop a comment, share it, tell your friends, all that good stuff. And I'm sure we'll announce a new City Legends evening soon. Who knows? Well, I know. No, we will be. But let's talk about the current goings on. First of all, want to send a big message of well wishes to Isaac Davis. It's a massive blow for him. But also, it's a big blow, I think, for Cardiff and for the fans, especially. But I feel like in the pre-season, I did mention in my video on Friday, we have generally looked really good with a mobile striker through the middle, whether it be Robertson or whether it be Davis. And Kanga he's a bit bigger, but he's in that sort of same thing. So very exciting stuff. And I think it's a big blow for Isaac to be out for so long, and look, best wishes to him. And he still have a big part to play this season. He can come in, before Christmas and hit the ground running and stuff, hopefully, and he'll have a big impact on the team. I think with the injury to Atete again, which probably puts he's not going to be able to go out on loan, which is it's problematic probably in terms of getting people in and out. Jamadu Collins injured as well, so a few injury problems straight away at the start of the season. And then we obviously have long-term concerns in terms of how many games they'll play with Aaron and with Callum O'Dowda. We hope they're going to play a load of games, so you've got to get players in. I said at the start of the window that I felt we needed 2 strikers, 1 winger, a number 8 and a defender, and looks like we're pretty much addressing that. I think obviously you've only got 1 striker in at the moment. However, I expect that to change now. I've got to be honest. I just really think that with Davis out, we are thin. Like you've basically got Robinson and Kanga. Kanga's in a new league. Robinson, look, has been cracking in pre-season. Attitudes, mentality, everything, his performances as well, scoring goals. You hope that continues, but you also can't ignore the issues that I had last year with falling out with the manager and stuff like that. So I think you have to have another striker in there. I don't think Atete is an issue or a problem in terms of playing, but I think it means you can't send him out on loan now, probably until January, depending on how long he's injured for. So Friday evening, when I dropped that video, I said Monday. I was right. Just saying. Robertson medical tomorrow. Deal for under 2 million. A permanent deal. There's so much to like about that. So much to like about that. I did a little podcast thing with a Portsmouth fan channel the other day, and just recorded a little video for him, basically commenting on Portsmouth being back in the Championship and also where I thought Cardiff City would finish. I was kind of speaking to him, and he said that Robertson is the best player he's ever seen play for Portsmouth. Now, you think of some of the players they have had over the years, your Carnews, your Paul Mersons, and, Pedro Mendes. The list is endless. They've had some absolute top draw players, and he's telling me that Alex Robertson is that good. So that's enough for me. But even, like I said before, like, spoken to a few people at Manchester way, like Man City weren't massively keen on selling him, but I think this kind of come about, and I think it's, again, we're all very quick to criticize Cardiff City, like the board and the chairman and the transfer committee. You have to give them credit this summer. Like, not only have they addressed the issues within the squad in terms of the players that we needed, but you look at the quality of player that's come in. Chris Willock, Callum Chambers, Kanga, Robertson now. I feel like I've forgotten someone as well, which someone will remind me now, but just off the top of my head. But like, the quality is there. Like, they all improve the starting 11. And I just think, for me, the most pleasing thing about all of them as well is they want to come here. They've all got options. Robertson could have gone back to Portsmouth, where he had a very successful loan period last year, somewhere where he was comfortable, manager he knew, area, etc. Kanga, there was clubs all across Europe who were interested in taking him. Chambers obviously had a nice contract with QPR. There was other Championship clubs interested in him. Callum Chambers bought his contract out to come to us. Like, these players want to be here, and I don't think you can put a price on that, for lack of a better term. Like, it's really, really important that the players who come in, they want to be here, and everyone's pulling in the same direction. Andrew just said, any update on the mystery number 8 that I mentioned? There isn't, mate. And like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, as I mentioned a few times, the club has been super, super tight with the leaks. I did get the name of the centre-back that we want. I'm not going to say the name tonight, only because, and I know like a few people who I've spoken to privately know it as well. Like, it's not a massive secret, but I also don't want to burn the person who told me. So all I can say is that if he were to come, I'm a little less upset about selling Matt McGuinness. Is about as much as I would. I think it'll be a tricky deal. But as soon as it's kind of out there, generally, I'll talk about that a bit more detail, because that's not as far along as like the Robertson. I think they're a bit more relaxed about the centre back, because you've got Gutash, you've got Chambers, both looking good. McGuinness has got an injury, or has he got an injury? I don't know. I wouldn't speculate. Someone I was really happy for last night, Joe Rawls. Look, we all know that we need that, like, number 8 to put everything together. We know this. Like, Joe Rawls is not going to be able to play 40, 50 games this season, whatever. But he's going to have a massive part to play, and I've said that all along. Even if Alex Robertson is and turns out to be as good as we all think he is, and we all hope he is for us, like, Joe will still have a massive part to play. A massive part to play. He will start certain games against certain teams. He'll come on when we need, someone creative from deep, or we need to keep hold of the ball. He'll have a massive part to play. There's a reason he's the club captain. He's very popular. In terms of McGuinness, look, all I would say is it doesn't make any sense for us to bring in be looking to bring in another centre-back, but keep McGuinness, because we've already turned down 5 million for McGuinness. So what, are we going to then put him on the bench? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And we do have to balance the books. Our squad is deep. I said on Friday, we are rolling deep. Like, our squad is super deep. So even though the manager wants 2 quality options, at least in each position, which I think he's probably got, certainly by the end of this week, you have to accept that the squad's too big. We have to bring some money in to balance the books. Otherwise, we're going to get hit hard with the PSR or FFP, whatever it's called these days. I think, let's talk about the Bristol game a little bit. We'll come back to transfers in a second. I thought there was so many positives to take from that game yesterday. We moved the ball quickly. The patterns of play were really interesting. We had that really in possession, 5 across the front line, couple in midfield, couple at the back. Like it's very, very clear we are going to try and pin teams back and almost play with a couple of inside forwards off the striker and number 10s and like really popping the ball away nicely. I thought Chris Willock showed glimpses of why he's going to be super exciting, both as a winger, but cutting inside that little reverse ball for Ramsey's goal. Not the most complicated or complex of balls, but it was there was an easier pass to go backwards or to the side. But he went for that little reverse ball. It opens up for Ramsey. Obviously hits a cracking shot. I thought Ramsey looked I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I think Ramsey looks a little bit leaner. He looks in super good shape. Not that he wasn't in good shape last year, but he just looks lean and sharp and aggressive. And look, even Mate, who I'm not like fully convinced by, and I've said that, like, I'm not quite sure what he's going to be for us. And where he kind of gets his game time. But I thought he did a good job last night or yesterday afternoon. He tends to drift wide, which is not the worst thing in the way we're playing, as long as it's drifting wide in behind rather than drifting wide deep, because then it'll all get a bit slow and congested. But I thought he did pretty well. Raheem Conte again did really, really well coming off the bench. Only a little cameo, but I thought, like, on the ball, the kid is so composed, rarely gives the ball away. And, like, for me, he's one of the first names on my bench each week, because he can play right back, he can play left back, he can play midfield, he can play wing. Those versatile players are so important to particularly in the Championship, particularly, when you've got injuries and things like that. You need those players. And I think, like, with going back to Mate, Wayne's just said there, Mate did brilliant. It's just the final product which is missing. And that was what I was saying all season, like last year. Like, when he played through the middle, his link-up play is really good. He holds the ball up well. He's strong. He's got a pretty decent first touch. But then when he's in front of goal, he just doesn't seem to have that natural finishing ability. And then for me, like I thought we saw it again on Wednesday in the friendly, where he played off the right, and he hasn't got that electric pace to get in behind, and he kind of comes short and goes. It all becomes a bit slow and sluggish and predictable. Whereas the way I think Errol Bullett is trying to play now, particularly, I think we'll see it at home, is he's going to try and pin teams in. He's going to play quick, purposeful passing, which is all we've all ever asked for, is that, like, we try and dominate teams. But I think now he's got the players to do it. And I think you have to be fair. Last year, we didn't have maybe the quality of player to do it. And you look at all the players we've brought in, all exceptionally comfortable on the football, but they all move it quickly in the right areas. So, like, even, Willock in particular. So one of the things that's going to be interested in with Willock is if we'll be able to get a consistent tune out of him, because I think that's something that's been thrown at him, where, he'll have a couple of good games and then he'll go off the boil for a bit. It's finding that consistency. But one of the things that will be with him is, like, if you give him the ball and he isolates the fullback, he can go past him either way, left or right, very skillful. But if that's not on and he has an isolated fullback, he'll drift in towards the 10 or the inside left, and he'll just pop the ball off little 1 and 2 touches. And that's what we need, is players to do that. And I think one of the things that Ruben needs to improve on, or I think there's 2 real things for Ruben that he needs to improve on this season to take him to the next level. And that's, one is, first and foremost, is decision making. When to pass, when to shoot, when to play someone else in, when to beat the man. But also is getting into that habit of moving the ball a little bit quicker, having a few less touches, sometimes it'll be the right, if he isolates a centre back or he isolates a full back and you can beat him and get a cross in or a shot in or whatever, yes, take it those touches. But if you can move the ball quicker and your teammate's in a better position, he's got to see that earlier. And funny enough, when Psyopers won the ball back in the second half yesterday and he done like a little spin, Conte then nutmegs the Bristol Rovers player, comes to Ruben. He made the right choice and he played a nice little ball in behind the fullback. Just didn't have enough on it. But the decision was good. And so, like, pre-season for me, it's meaningless. I've said it many times, like, every pre-season game, it might look like we're really disjointed or we're really, like, it's a weird team he's picked. But there'll always be reasons with these coaches and managers, whether they're looking to, right, today we're going to focus on playing out from the back. We're going to focus on wide areas or, whatever it may be, like different formation in possession, different, working hard out of possession. They'll have a certain focus for these preseason games. So it's very difficult to really put your finger down and say, yeah, we had a good, we're rocking now because it's preseason. I think more so you've got to look at it from a kind of what the positives were from last year and the negatives, and then what have we brought in and bringing in to see what we're going to go with next year. All I could say is I haven't been this optimistic for a very long time as a Cardiff City fan, and I broke my no gambling rule, and I had a few quid on Cardiff to each way to win the league, which is a thing, but I also did Cardiff to finish in the top 6 and Cardiff to get promoted. Like, I'm excited by this season. Let's go with some of these comments. Jaden says Robertson's having a medical tomorrow. Evening Ben, evening Paul, Wayne, Jaden. Jamie says cracking atmosphere yesterday. Really good to see a mix of fans of various ages. Really excited for the season. Yeah, it was wicked, mate. We did a vlog. Matthew took his little boy with him, and his little boy had an absolute whale of a time. So I should be running a competition for some away tickets soon. I'm having a conversation. I can't really say much more than that, but I'm having a conversation with someone tomorrow, and I'm hoping to do a giveaway with some away tickets. So keep it tuned for that. Obviously, if you're subscribed to Cardiff City World, make sure you click that bell so you get like notifications, because it might just be I'll chuck like a 2-minute video up and say blah blah blah, win a pair of tickets for this game, blah blah blah. But there'll be away tickets, which is kind of cool. So look what else we got. Jamie said getting new faces in. This could be a good strong season. We need a good start, I think, which is, look, it's really difficult. I was looking at on paper, we've got a horrible start. But if you look at it on a positive point of view, if we have because we've got such a horrible start, if we take like a good few points from the first month, we will be absolutely like cooking on gas, because the confidence is only going to grow. Championship is just building runs at the end of the day, and when that run comes to an end, trying to restart it as quick as possible. We do have a horrible start, and I think getting a good start will be essential. But also, I think some of these players that we've started, El Ghazi was the other player I was naming him off the top of my head. Like, some of these players are going to need a bit of time. Like him, and El Ghazi in particular, is going to need a bit of time. He's not fit. He's going to take time to get up to speed. But when he does, we all know that he's probably too good for the Championship. So there's a reason why he signed the year contract, etc. But also, Kanga, new league, going to take him some time. I've been very pleased with how Callum Chambers has looked in pre-season. I thought he'd be a bit more off the pace, and it might take him a bit longer, but he looks ready to go, which is encouraging. Reese says Atete isn't really a miss, but Isaac, I think this was his last chance saloon season with us. Probably be offloaded in January now, as we'll seek to sign another striker. Yeah, I'm trying to look at it positive for him, because I think there was a big opportunity for him this year to be one of the number 9 options and then play off the right now and again. And I think it must be devastating for him to come off a season he had last year and then pick up an injury like that in pre-season. It must be devastating for the young lad. And but he should be back by what they were saying around the start of December, he can make a massive impact. That's a big chunk of the season, and we've seen it time and time again when players don't get started till December, January, and they still have a huge impact. If he comes in at December time and gets 8 to 10 goals before the end of the season, that'll be a big way to sending us where we would like to be. Jamie says Rawls yesterday, even without the goal, played really well. Granted, it's a League One side, but rolling, he did really well. Ramsey, brilliant. See as well. Wayne says we definitely need a proven goal scorer now, even more now. Atete has had too many chances, can't cut it at this level. Isaac will be back, has youth on his side, recovery be quick. Yeah, and I think I like I said at the start of the show, I said we needed 2 strikers. I still stand by that. I think Robertson has kind of mixed things up a little bit by his performances, his goals, and his attitude and his work rate, his fitness, everything, all of it as a package. You cannot fault him. I was one of his biggest critics last year for a variety of reasons, and I felt like we wouldn't see him in a Cardiff City shirt again. So for him to not just come back with the right attitude, but to then play as well as he has, cannot fault him one bit. Well, I can fault he needs to bloody stay on side and time his runs better. But apart from that, it's all good. Very happy for him because I still stand by, like, if Kanga does take a better time, and inform Robinson at the start of the season could be really important for us, depending on if we do get another striker. But I think Robinson has looked good, and I think Robertson is capable of dropping in and linking up, but also he's capable of getting in behind. We need those fullbacks. We need to keep the same shape that we've been pushing in pre-season, where you've got 5 across the front line to push teams back and high width. We've got to keep doing that, particularly at home. And dominate teams, because we've got players now who can dominate the football and play the football and be creative, and then let your Ruben Colwells, your Chris Willocks, let them express themselves, your Al Ghazis, let's just let them express themselves. Let's bring back flair players. We've got our psychopaths. We've got the technically gifted Ramsey, Rawls, Robertson, touch wood that nothing falls through with the medicals and stuff. Like, they're technically gifted, beautiful footballers who are going to offer us so much. Let's let them be the workers and the passers, and then let's Ruben, El Ghazi, Chris Willock, O'Dowda, let's let them be Tanner. Let's just let them express themselves and be creative. I would love to see that. The return of the flair player in 2024. The street player, as it were. Let's have a look what else. Dale Perry, hiya, mate. It's great to see so much positivity, and feel-good factor seems to be back. We can achieve anything this season. Pre-season has been great, exciting times. Yeah, look, it feels like there's momentum building in terms of the optimism, and I've even seen some of Bill Bullett's biggest sort of critics, or the ones who were a bit like, should we give him a contract? Should we not? Like, even there, they can see that he's addressing the issues that we had in the second half of last season, the slow play, the, too negative, everyone passing backwards. You can see it's being addressed. You can see the different shape, the new shape. So when you can see that problems or negatives or issues are being addressed, then you're going to get behind the team and the players, and it's exciting. I just hope it's reflected in the crowds, and of course part of that will come with a good start, and that's why another reason, away from the not away from the football side, but which goes hand in hand with the football side, is if Cardiff get off to a cracking start, albeit it's a very, very difficult start, but if we get off to a really, really good start, the fans and the crowds will come, because there is an optimism, there is a feeling of excitement going into this season. Paul says last season Ramsey was unfit from the start, as he joined last after playing for Wales. This season, along with Robinson, looks so much fitter and looking on it, which would be great for us and for Wales. Reese says Craig Bellamy alluded to the Paige Ramsey situation when he said we no longer want to take a player not 100% fit, run them ragged and send them back to their clubs injured, something which Bullitt accused Paige of doing. Yeah, and I think Bullitt had a massive point with that. Did he go about it the right way and stuff like that? I mean, that's open for interpretation and the rest of it. At the end of the day, Errol Bullitt's job is at Cardiff and that's his priority. Then you have the other side of it. Robert Page's job was to do what was best for Wales, and Aaron Ramsey's kind of stuck in the middle. I thought it was interesting that Aaron Ramsey kind of chose to focus on being fit for Cardiff City this year in the summer. Take from that what you will, like in terms of who made what decision. But it was a fascinating, like that was one of the things which was really encouraging to hear. Like Craig Bellamy said that he went, within a couple of days of getting a job, he went up to Cardiff City Stadium and spent a couple of hours with Errol Bullitt building that relationship. And that's what you need. And I think that's only good for not just Aaron Ramsey, but for Isaac Davis, for Ruben Colwell, these players, because they'll both be, like Craig said, that, when they're international duty, they're not developing players. What they're doing is they're just they're looking after them, they're loaning them. So they would need to do what's best for the players, but they're working together. What they might see things on international duty whereby, he could do with this, or he's doing that really well, maybe, this, that, and the other. That relationship is important, I think, in club to country, especially for a small country like Wales. So that was, again, another encouraging thing to hear from Craig Bellamy. Please do go and watch both parts over on Ace Podcast Nation. Leave a comment, a like, and a share, and all that good stuff. Wayne says, no coincidence last year when Ramsey got injured, we started to struggle to create anything. Him at Leeds and Leicester away, we didn't lose either game. Yeah, and if Leicester away, if you remember, just before they score late on, Mate missed a one-on-one, which would have put us ahead. So we missed so many one-on-ones and big chances last year, which goes back. We've got to score more this year. And that's why it was very encouraging to score 2 goals from open play. I know they were kind of like 30-yarders, but just we created chances yesterday, 1, and 2, just to score from open play and not set pieces is important. But hopefully Kanga will address that once he's up and running and firing. Wayne also said, I did us to win the league at 18-1 with a plus 30 start. Get on it. Oh, no. Look at that. Andrew says, any further update on Ryan Wintle? Hopefully sell rather than loan to raise some additional money. Yeah, number one, I don't see any way back for him. He's done. He hasn't done any of the preseason games. Or didn't do the tour, should I say, and hasn't been involved recently. He's clearly on his way. It's where this is the problem, and I had this discussion with someone the other day. It's all very well. That's all saying, oh yeah, we'd sell him and we'd sell him and we'd get rid of him and we do this and we bring this player in and get rid of this player. One, a player can turn down a move if they got a contract. I'm not saying that that's the case in Ryan Wintle's case. I'm just saying generally, a player has to be open to the move. You have to find a price. You have to all the negotiations. It's just not as easy as like, right, we need to move him. We need to sell him. It just isn't that easy. I think if it was that easy, I think Romeo, I don't really understand with Romeo because it's clear he's going to move on. So I would have thought that what he did probably would have broken some clause in his contract. So why we didn't release him is a bit confusing, but look, I'm not in charge, so I don't know. But yeah, I'd expect a few outs this week. We've got to balance the books. So I think Ryan Wintle as a footballer would be a really good signing for like a Sheffield Wednesday or even a higher look like a Birmingham City, someone like that. I think they could do. He could obviously, it looks like Birmingham we're going to sell Jordan James to Leeds if he hasn't already gone there, which infuriates me massively because like Ampadu and Jordan James playing for Leeds and not us is depressing, to say the least. But it is what it is financially. And And Leeds will be very good. I think Hull will be quite good this year as well. I did say the other day, I don't think necessarily this year might be the year where the teams coming down don't all just be like in the top four. Not saying that a couple of them won't be, but I just wonder whether this year is the year where that cycle gets broken a little bit. I think Sheffield United will be right up there. And then I wonder what will happen with Luton. But I guess we'll see. What has made you most happy in pre-season with regards to Cardiff? Is it the way the club have got about their transfer business? We seem like really switched on, professional, and we're going about these negotiations in a really clever way. Is it the lack of leaks? I think that's been super encouraging. As someone who likes to get leaks and gets told some stuff now and again, like this, I find it. I like it. I like it because for some years now, we have been like a sinking ship, just leaks everywhere. It was very easy to find out what was going on. So it's interesting. Slowborough Blue says the way we're playing and the caliber of signing. Yeah, I think a big part of, look, apart from the transfers and the ins, of course, we're all excited about it. I get that. And I think the way we've gone about it, I said to a friend of mine earlier on, like we're acting like a proper football club. It feels like we haven't done that in a long time. But what has been encouraging is when I'm watching these games, I noticed it a lot more on Wednesday, but I'd noticed it and we talked about it before. But on Wednesday, I noticed it because I was sat high up, looking from the halfway, is the change of shape in possession and the way that we're kind of looking to play and the way we're just moving the ball quicker. I think it's super encouraging because that means that Bullet wasn't happy with what we were doing last year, but he felt like that was the way to win football matches. Howworth, Renario just mentioned Howworth in the comments. I thought he had a good game yesterday. He got Siopis out of trouble at one point, and he hasn't been consistent at all. And I think very fairly, a lot of fans feel that Alnwick should be the number one based on form, etc. Since Howworth come in, really. But like, I thought Howworth was good yesterday, and I think having two quality keepers is important. So we need Howworth to be at his highest level because at his highest level, he's an exceptional championship keeper. Alnwick is an exceptional championship keeper. So having two very, very good keepers is massive for the way we're going about stuff. Reese says Stoke approaches the club, is if what I've heard is correct. They cannot afford cash, so offered a loan, to which the club turned down as they want money. Romeo, the club felt they could get a fee. They were not, like, just my opinion, mate, right? But in my opinion, they were never going to get a fee for Romeo once all that stuff come out, because it's one thing trying to get rid of a player who's surplus to requirements. It's another thing trying to get rid of a player who's surplus to requirements and has had disciplinary issues. So you had the thing with the police, and you also had a disciplinary issue, like where he was dropped out of the squad and his attitude was questioned, etc. So, like, it is what it is. Like, you know, I just think it was unrealistic to think we were going to get a fee for Romeo or a big, anything worthwhile. And I just wonder whether we'd be better at getting his wages off the wage bill. But it's all open to interpretation. Andrew just put a comment in there, which was the next thing I wanted to talk about. Ollie Tanner. I thought Ollie Tanner did all right yesterday. All right. But I struggle to see where he's going to get his game time this year. Maybe a bit more now that Isaac's out for a little bit, but also we've been heavily linked with Casey McAteer. There was a report the other day that Casey McAteer is now going out on loan, and like with the Casey McAteer one, I was told probably 3 or 4 weeks ago that was nearly done, and then all of a sudden it just went dead. From what I'm kind of put together and guessing and a little bit of this and a little bit of that is Leicester wanted too much or something. Like there was a change in what they wanted maybe, and that's where the deal sort of died. Excuse me, sorry. But like he was quite far along in terms of getting the deal done. And like it was quite well known. I'm not saying like I knew anything, but other people didn't know. Everyone thought he was coming. So I wouldn't be surprised now that I've seen that report from a newspaper up there that he's going to go out on loan. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come here on loan. We've still got 3 loan spaces. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come on loan because then you've got Willock, McAteer, who both can play either side. You've got El Ghazi, who can play off the right. Colwell, I think, is going to play off the right sometimes as well. So I think all 4 of those would be in front of Ollie Tanner. Then you've got Kean Ashford. I personally would put Kean above Tanner in terms of selection, and Isaac when he's fit. So like you got like almost 5 players and then maybe 6 if McAteer were to come in. That's a lot of players in front of you to get game time. However, with Jamalu Collins out injured, I just wonder, and this is purely speculation on my part, we want Robertson and it's nearly done. We want a centre-back and we're talking to one now. And we're probably going to go for at least another forward, if not another striker. So I could see us. Oh, I didn't even mention O'Dowda, so there's another one from the wide options who would be in front of Tanner. I thought O'Dowda was good yesterday as well. Just need him to stay fit. But I wonder whether we go with O'Dowda stroke Tanner as the kind of experienced left-back choice. I know Tanner's not experienced at left-back, but he's a bit more experienced player. And then you have your Louis Giles, Bagan, obviously Capaccio can play on the left as well. And they're the kind of backup. But you go with, instead of getting a left back in, now that Collins is injured, you kind of use O'Dowda. And then if O'Dowda was to be injured, you could put Tanner there if you wanted someone a bit more experienced. Joe Rawls has played left back as well, is one option. And then you've got those exciting youngsters in there as well. So maybe we don't go with a new left back. Personally, I would like to see, Capaccio get a go. So I wouldn't be against either Capaccio playing off the left or maybe NG goes over to the left and Capaccio plays off the right. But remember, you've got Callum Chambers can play right back as well. So I think that maybe, like left back, I don't think they see as a massive rush because you could put NG on the left and Callum Chambers right back and you look solid. You could put Conte at right back. You could put Capaccio at right back. They're both exciting options. So it's really fascinating, really fascinating. Someone mentioned like when Ramsey got injured, that's when our season started to go off the boil. I do agree. Like we became quite dull, but I also think one of the biggest losses in the season was when McGuinness was out, because he was the defender who brought the ball out. He was the defender who could ping a diagonal, play through the lines, and be that progressive passer from deep. And we didn't have anyone. Even Phillips, who was excellent and is clearly a very, very good player, far too good for the Championship. I still think as a passer and someone who progresses the ball from defence, McGuinness is a bit better and certainly suited the way we were playing. He built up a good relationship with Gutas. So it did. When I found out that there was a chance we might sell him and bring a different centre-back in, I was concerned. I really was. Like, I said at the start of the summer, my 2 unsellable players was McGuinness and Colwell. I wouldn't have sold them this summer for anything under like 12, like whatever, just something ridiculous, because I felt like we should build around them this season because of their age and everything. But the name of the centre back will be out there soon enough, and we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to put it out there just because I don't want to. I've been asked not to, basically, which I'm not going to do. I get told stuff. What I can tell you is he'd be the best centre back at our football club. I mean, take of that what you will, but Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So Ollie Tanner, going back to that original point, sorry, went off on a bit of a tangent. Ollie Tanner, I would loan, but I would try and get him either to Kortrijk, or to League One, somewhere where he's going to play week in, week out. And Lewis just makes a great point. We've also got Tsunda to come back as well, who can play left back and centre back. And people who would know, not me, tell me that he is very, very good. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. But people who would know tell me he's very good, Tsunda. So I'm really almost really like one of the most fascinating things for me this season will be seeing just how good he is. But obviously he can play. So I don't think we signed a left back. And I think we only signed a centre back if we get the money that we want for McGuinness, which I believe is we want between 6 and 7, because we've got to give 15-20% to Arsenal, so it's understandable why we want that much. And I also think his age, his profile, his skill set, he's worth that, 100% worth that. I know some people might disagree, but I think McGuinness is absolutely worth that. We're not as a football club, we're not in the position to turn down 6-7 million for a centre back. We're just not. It's just realistic. So a few people put in their starting lineups. So is this your best starting lineup or just your starting lineup for next Saturday? So Renario's gone Halverth in goal, NG, Chambers, Gutas, O'Dowda, Siopis and Robertson in the middle, Ramsey at the 10, Willock, El Ghazi and Kanga. I don't think El Ghazi will start next Saturday. I just don't think he'll be ready. I think he'll be on the bench, hopefully. Well, I hope he's on the bench. That'd be good. If we can just get 15-20 minutes out of him, would be great. So look, some of these other comments. Jaden says, I just can't see him starting with anyone other than Tanner on the right. Honestly, mate, I really strongly disagree with you there. I believe there's a very good chance that when El Ghazi isn't fit, I think Ruben will start off the right and be given the freedom to just go wander. And as I said earlier, let's bring back street footballers. Let's bring back the flair players. Let's allow Willock and O'Dowda and El Ghazi and Ruben. Let's just let them play and express themselves. Kean Ashford. Let's just go play. The players behind you will do the work. And, obviously you've got to, go back to the right when we lose possession and mark space and block the passing lanes and all these things. But in terms of just playing, go express yourself and show us what you can create and do. And that excites me because I think if you do that and you allow those certain players, you remember what Neil Warnock did with Tarat, where he just said to all the other players, he's going to basically do what he wants. You do the work. And that worked for him. And I think if you can give, not saying maybe to that extreme, but if you can give Ruben and you can give Willock and these guys that bit of freedom to express themselves and just be old school flair players, I think they can do some real damage this year with the players that we got around them. One of my biggest bugbears last year in the second half of the season was I felt Ruben really was our best creative option when Ramsey was out. I thought he had a really good end to the season, but I thought he was let down by the players around him. There was no one running in behind. We didn't have a striker. Bowler kept just cutting in and closing the space, so he had to go. We didn't have someone who could progress the play quick enough from deep to get him on the ball in the positions that he was taking up. So Ruben would just come deeper and deeper. And look, I'm not saying that it's all about Ruben. I'm just saying that he has the ability if you give him a bit of freedom. Man with no name, Dot, says, just join. McGuinness likely to leave or stay. All I kind of know is that we're talking to a centre-back. The centre-back who we're talking to if he was to come, would be our best centre-back. And I think if he comes, I cannot see the logic in us keeping him. I can't see, unless I have got a video coming out this week, and it's entitled, Is Errol Bullock cooking up a new system? and it's looking at the players he's signed, the players we've been linked with. Is he cooking up a backup system or a change in formation? He played 3 at the back a lot in Turkey. He's done it. He did it in the EFL Cup, and particularly like when we're in possession, we play with 3 at the back anyway. But in pre-season, we have at least. So, like, is he cooking up a new system? Maybe if he is cooking up a 3 at the back system, maybe then you could have a situation where McGuinness stays, but we also bring a centre back in. But even then, I think it's a bit of a stretch. I just can't see the logic to bringing in a first choice centre back and keeping McGuinness. So you've essentially turned down 5 million for him, but then you're going to put him on the bench. That doesn't make any sense to me, even for Cardiff City. And also, the other side of it is, though, however, Mark McGuinness doesn't want to leave, is what I was told. And he's also very, very popular within the squad. So you kind of have to be careful how you manage it. I think you also have Sloper Rose Blues going back to the right-hand side thing. That Conte can play on the right wing as well. Yeah, and Conte for me is like 100% in the first team squad this year. He's so versatile and so composed on the ball. But I liked Ruben off the right against who did we play? Reading on Wednesday. I thought he showed glimpses of what that'll do. He was given a lot of freedom, but as soon as we lost the ball, he was just back in position. The interchanging of the players was really interesting. And Turnbull, who was in the 10, would drop a little bit deeper to create that space for him to drift into. And I thought he was really difficult to pick up. Dot says, I just talked about this, but I'll just quickly go over it again. Basically, McAteer was kind of done, or as close to being done as is done. And then it all kind of went dead. From what I gather, it was Leicester asking for too much, or whatever it was. There was some part of the deal which fell through. But now there's reports up in Leicester media that he's going to go out on loan. And I think because we still got 3 loan spots, I think he'd like to bring in. Bullock would like probably another attacking option, I think. So I could see McAteer coming in on loan. But I'm not as confident as I was. Like 3 weeks ago, if you'd asked me if he was coming in, I would have said he's 100% coming in. So, it is what it is. Reese says, as you know, I've never been completely sold on Ruben. If January comes and he hasn't got the stats or goals, so by then Al-Ghazi will be fit and he'll be back on the bench, would you just consider selling him? I think price, like, if the price is right, mate, I would sell him now. But the price has got to be right. And it all just comes down to whether, if he gets game time, and like for me, as I said earlier in the show, the 2 biggest things that he's got to improve on this year to take him to the next level is his decision making, which in conjunction with that automatically makes your productivity better because your decision making is better. But just deciding when to beat a man, when to move, like when to pass it and stuff like that. I thought his decision making was really good last night or yesterday afternoon. And then second of all is sometimes he just needs to take 1-2 touches and move the ball quicker, because we've been really, really good at interchanging in that kind of those half spaces behind the forward line, particularly where we've got the 5 pinning the forward line back and you've got the 2 inside forwards dropping in, and the 10, he needs to be able to move the ball quickly and not always take a lot of touches. If he can improve moving the ball quicker and his decision making, I think he's going to have a great season. I'm really fairly confident he's going to have a good season this year. I think he looks a little bit fitter and a little bit sharper. I just think he needs to. I've not heard anything about that Cypriot centre back, which I'm not even Andrew. I haven't heard anything about him, but depending on who reported it, I wouldn't disagree with it. Ross Wills, let's see what he's in. The issue we have right now is the Colin and Sunder's injured. We need a Dowder for the wing, as Willock doesn't have 90 minutes in him. So I think Bullock could opt to go with NG, McGuinness, Kutas, Chambers. Yeah, I think that is probably the most likely for me, because Chambers is a good right back. Personally, mate, obviously it depends if McGuinness is fit and or still here. if McGuinness is not available for the Sunderland game, I would go with Chambers in the middle with Gutas, and I'd play Conte. I'd have no qualms whatsoever with playing Raheem Conte. I personally wouldn't have qualms with playing K Pacquiao, but I think Sunderland in the first game would be difficult for him. But like he's played an under-17s tournament. He's not a, at the end of the day, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I think, particularly in Raheem Conte's kind of case, what a player he is going to be. The composure is insane. But yeah, Chambers as a right back is a really. I when we first signed him, I kind of assumed he was going to be a replacement for NG, but seems not. Everyone forgets about Tasunda Renario, but like people who know tell me he's good, so we'll see. This is an interesting one. I'd like to discuss this as we look towards wrapping up. Ross says, I'd love Wilson Esperant back on loan for a season to compete at left back. When Collins and Tasunda is fit, Wilson Esperant can also play on the wing. Yeah, I wasn't like fully convinced by him, but I thought he started really well. I think the thing which did it for me, and look, he wasn't the only one who had a bad game in the Swansea away game, but he completely fell apart, absolutely completely fell apart, and that was kind of worrying for me because he would have played in big games before, and he never quite recovered from there, and obviously picked up an injury which paid to his season. I saw a lot that I liked from him. And going back to what I said, not to promote my video, which is coming out this week, but it is, looking at whether Errol Bullitt is cooking up a new system. If we were going to have a 3 at the back kind of system with wing backs in our back pocket at the very least, then Wilson Esperant makes a lot of sense. And look, I love O'Dowda. I think he's one of the best footballers in our team. But you have to also be realistic that he hasn't played a great deal of football over the last couple of not that he hasn't played a great deal of football. He's missed a lot of football matches through injury in the last couple of years. I want him to be fit more than anything because I think a fit Callum O'Dowda will create an assist for all season. If he played 30 games next year, he would get several assists. Let's just have a look how many games he has actually played in the last couple of seasons. Let's have a look at his stats. Right. As we're looking towards wrapping up, guys, if you got any questions, I'm sure I'll end up going off on a tangent and stuff with each one, but drop any questions in and I will kind of try and answer them as quick as possible before I chip off because I've got to go and pick my young son up from his girlfriend's house. Right. So 22-23, Callum O'Dowda, how many games did he play? So that was the season before last. Right. So yeah, so in fairness, the season before last, he played 39 championship games and he played 40 games in total. And then last year, I think he only played a handful, didn't he? Really, I think. So he played 11 games for us last year. So there was a big drop off last year, but maybe if he's played 40 games the season before, maybe maybe he can get past that. Obviously, at 29 is you get older, it becomes a bit more difficult to come back from those injuries and stuff like that. So that's obviously something. But then, so I just gone back going back 2 seasons, he only played 20 games. So there has been I don't know if you say an ongoing issue because he played a full season. I love him, and I think if you can keep Callum O'Dowda fit all season, he's a very important player for us. He can play in the middle as well if you really needed him to. 2021, only played 19 games. Yeah, so since 2021, Callum O'Dowda has only played 40 games once, which is a bit of an issue for me. Let's have a look. Ross says, I agree. We had no competition for places. He could bring his game along. Sunderland, Jack Clark is too good for a youngster. Yeah, and I think that's the issue, isn't it? Is Jack Clark, in my opinion, is one of the best players in the Championship, and I think that's when I said chucking a Pacquiao in would be a big ask, like, because Jack Clark's one of the best players in the championship for me, certainly in that position. So it makes a lot of sense to put Chambers at right back. But then I would have thought if he was going to play at right back, if that was the general plan, and NG was going to go to the left, we might have seen Chambers play at right back at some point. But no, look, we got. If you go through the squad, we've generally got two options for each position at the moment. You've got Kanga or Robinson as a 9. And obviously you've got Isaac and Atete. I think Atete would have gone out on loan, but he's injured now, so probably won't. Isaac's obviously out for a while, so I wonder whether we try and bring in a winger who can play through the middle as a bit of a reassurance. And then you've got like Willock, you've got Ashford, you've got Conte, Ruben, and El Ghazi. Robinson can play off the left. O'Dowda. I feel like I'm missing someone as well. Obviously Tanner as well. Like, there's a lot of options in the wide areas. Then you've got Ramsey, Ruben, Turnbull. Willock can play in the 10. So that's an interesting one. Paul says, Si, is any position in the City lineup a worry to you? For me, it's the goalkeeper. We've always had a decent goalkeeper, but with Howworth, he just worries me. I disagree to a certain extent. So there's two elements to it. I understand why people are concerned with Howworth on his performances so far for Cardiff City. I thought he was pretty good yesterday, actually. And again, he got Cyprus out of trouble, and I thought he was pretty solid. His distribution was okay. But I think we've got two good championship goalkeepers at the moment, and I think that's more than most teams have got. Louis Giles, and this is the thing, like, so Louis Giles, Pacquiao, Conte, and Joe Bagan, 4 decent young fullbacks, varying qualities and potential. I'd be happy to play them at fullback at certain games. Sunderland wouldn't be the game for me where I play a youngster at right back or even left back, because I think they'd switch over and switch Clark over and target him. Let's have a look. What else we got? Ross says Willock can play left wing, 10, right back, right wing. So if Ramsey needs a rest on the bench, Willock can play 10. O'Dowda left, Ghazi right. Robinson can go up top. Robinson, yeah, I 100% agree. I'd never want to see Callum Robinson play in the 10. Play him as a 9, for me, is the best way to go. And if you've got to play him somewhere else, play him off the left. Please don't play him in 10. The only 10s I really want to see is Ramsey or Ruben. I think they're the best options for us, particularly in Ruben's case. If we can get him in there with Kanga or Robinson up front and Willock on the left and El Ghazi on the right, like, he's got players around him to play off. But Daniel Murphy with an interesting one says Grant as a late option. We know what he brings. I like Grant, and I said at the start of the window that we should have brought him back. That was before I saw who we brought in, and I kind of feel like he falls a little bit below that level now. To be honest, like the level of the players we brought in, I think he's a little bit below that. I love his attitude. I love his work rate. I wouldn't be gutted if we brought him in. Like, I think he offers a lot, but I think we've moved past that now. Like, all the players we've brought in are ball playing, technically proficient, really exciting players in different levels. You add Robertson to that in the next couple of days, and like, look, I suppose the good thing with Grant is he works hard. He can play left, right, through the middle, so it gives you options. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst idea, but I do feel like we've almost moved past that. Ross says Howworth is solid, won 2 promotions in the last 3 years. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I think he's him and Alnwick are good. Yeah, so a few people saying that they got no worries about Howworth, but he seems to come up a lot in the chat from some of the guys. Yeah, it's all opinions, isn't it? Personally, I think Alnwick deserves to have he never deserved to be dropped. But I think that Errol Bullett's number one is Halbert. Just my opinion. Let's have a look. Tanner and Colwell be important players. Tanner and Colwell will be important impact players off the bench, but awful starting. Grant is all legs, puts in the donkey work, but doesn't offer anywhere near enough up top. Yeah, I just don't think. I think we just moved across. Like we've just moved beyond just being hard working. Like the quality that we've brought in. I agree with you on Colwell. I think he will. I think Colwell this year will end up playing off the right in that kind of free role, or he'll end up coming off the bench for an impact. He's just got to make sure that when he does it, he has an impact. Tanner, I'm struggling to see where he gets game time. He didn't get a great deal of game time last year, and I just don't see where. Wayne says, I'm still looking for a big player in. I wonder. We've got Robertson coming in for under 2 million. That's the first fee we've spent this summer, I think I'm correct in saying. I know we've spent a lot on signing on fees and wages and stuff, but I just wonder with Isaac injured, whether the remainder of our budget might be spanked on a striker. But that's just purely speculation on my part. Turnbull, Wayne says, he's played and scored many goals at Champions League level, but hasn't hit the straps yet. Yeah, he's got to find his feet now. He's had his settling in period. I still think he's better from a bit deeper than the number 10. He always seems like he's a bit awkward with his back to goal. But I thought he linked up quite well with Ashford and Colwell against Reading, though, where he did play like a little bit deeper and not so close to the striker to allow Colwell to sort of drift across. But one of the most infuriating things for me with Turnbull is he's not taking the set pieces. Like one of his biggest assets at Celtic is his set piece taken, and he never seems to bloody take them, and we always seem to hit the first man. And then the other day he did take a set piece and he went bloody short against Reading, and he did nearly score from it. But like the point being, he never seems to take the set pieces. I'd like to see that more often than not. We got a lot of quality. Look, it's all on paper at the moment, isn't it? It's all on paper. So you've got to try and be reserved in your optimism. We're all like excited. The season's back. Cardiff are acting like a proper football club. They've brought in some genuinely quality players who improve the first 11. They've raised the ceiling, which in turn automatically makes your squad deeper. They've got some great exciting young players that we're all excited about. And I think what's important now is that us as fans get behind the team, get behind the manager, and really drive them on. Because if Cardiff City get off to a good start this year, we have got a genuinely deep squad, and you need that for 40 games or whatever in the championship and league games and stuff. So I'm excited by it. Should have some news on those giveaways tomorrow or Tuesday. And then we'll go from there. Please, like there's 500 odd people watching now. Go over to Ace Podcast Nation when we finish here. Leave a comment on the 2 Bellamy videos for me. Like them. Please share them. Watch them. I can't tell you how much that would help me out massively. Spread the word, etc. We should be announcing a new City Legends event very, very soon. In the meantime, I think I'm back tomorrow evening for a little live before I go away for a couple of days. So I'm going to do a live tomorrow, and then I'm away for a couple of days. So it'll be Tuesday and Thursday. It'll be a couple of pre-recorded videos. Wednesday will be the Flower Hour live with the boys. We've got a new History of Cardiff City with Terry Phillips coming out probably Tuesday. And then Friday will be the Cardiff City versus Sunderland preview. We're back, baby. Thank you very much to everyone who's watched. Please go and check out that the Craig Bellamy, both parts. Please leave a comment, share, like, all that good stuff. In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow night. Take it easy. This has been the Breakdown Pod on Cardiff City World. Nice one.